Hello, everybody. My name is Jim Farmer. I am the festival director of Out on Film, Atlanta's LGBTQ Film Festival. Um, our 38th annual film festival has just taken place. We're now in our streaming week, and we had an extraordinary run this year. So many popular films, so many amazing short films from around the world. And one of the films that our audience really, really loved was Arriba Beach. I'm gonna read a brief description, and then we're gonna talk to the director Nish Gara about the film. Arriba Beach. Summertime. Sam and Adele are on a beach holiday in Portugal. When Sam locks eyes with Miguel, the attraction between them throws Sam, Adele, Miguel, and his friend Santiago into a new configuration. The shelter of the nearby woods and the dynamism of the sea bring forth a night of secrets and revelations. Arriba Beach. Director Nish Gara, thanks so much for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me, and thanks for screening our film.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing this. Again, this was something that our programmers really, really enjoyed. And then when we showed it in person and then virtually as well, which is still going on through this weekend, it was a favorite. So just talk to me about how this began, how you put this together.
Yeah, so I think the idea for the film first came about. It was actually a year before the pandemic. I kind of had
Yeah.
this sort of skeleton plot for the film about this seemingly straight couple, a man and a woman, who are on a beach and they meet these two guys. And I kind of had a bit of an idea of what I wanted the film to be about in terms of, transgressing the ideas that we hold about, what does it mean to be straight, what does it mean to be married, etc. And also, I think the film is in some ways about deception, about lies. I mean, the characters are lying to each other or seemingly seem to be lying to each other in the film, and then we as filmmakers are kind of lying to the audience as well, and doing these twists in the film. So yeah, so that the element of deception and lies was really present for me, but deception and lies in a way that's playful, and
Yeah.
I wanted to center play in the film. So that's kind of how it started, and then the pandemic happened. I kind of put it in a drawer, and then my co-writer Trevor got involved afterwards, and then we kind of took it to the next level and said, okay, this is a film we want to make. Yeah.
You're absolutely correct. This is a film that's just full of playfulness. It's very funny, but it's also very, very erotic as well. I was, and it's very character driven, and you really get a sense of who these people are. But I was particularly intrigued by Adele, who is someone who you know knows a lot more than her husband thinks that she is. But just talk to me a little bit about Adele. Because in a lot of ways, she's sort of the mastermind of how things sort of develop. And talk to me about creating Adele and who she is. She's so
Yeah,
fascinating.
no, absolutely. Yeah, I think, yeah, and like you said, she is the engine of the film.
Yeah,
She's pulling the puppet strings,
yeah,
and I think the character really came together for me when I had the drowning scene planned. So there's a scene in the
yeah.
film where she fakes this drowning scene, and that's when she kind of really like takes control. And I think what's happening with the character is that as the audience, when you're watching the film for the first time, you're thinking that she's the one who's wronged and she's kind of the victim, so to speak.
Yeah.
But then, very quickly it gets revealed that no, she's actually the one who's running the show. And yeah, and her energy, I think, and this is something that only, became clear to me after we had written the film and the script was kind of done, as these things do, right? I mean, you go into the story and you're not really thinking thematically. You're just, with the characters and with the story when you're writing. But I think what became clear to me was that Adele and to a large extent Sam as well, they have trickster energy. So they're really tricksters.
Yeah.
So they're not operating within that realm of morally good or bad as tricksters do, and they're here to play. That's really what they're here to do. And obviously, she does some things in the film that are morally questionable, right? I mean, she steals as well in the film, and we had these discussions. I remember with one of my producers in Portugal, where the discussion was, well, do we really need the stealing scene because that makes Adele kind of bad? And I said, well, that's the point. Like, I don't need Adele to be all good, and I want Adele
Yeah.
to be this character who's on this sort of moral boundary, and yeah, so that's kind of how it slowly kind of we built her character.
There's obviously a great love between Sam and Adele, and a great partnership, professionally, personally. But Sam is not able to be honest with his wife. Do you think that? I mean, do you think Sam would eventually have opened up to Adele, or do you think that this was just the perfect way to make him, you know, to sort of get it out in the open?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, the pretense in the film really is that Adele is the one who is giving permission to all the characters,
Yeah,
to giving permission to Sam, but also to the two boys, to
yeah,
Santiago and Miguel to really play and be themselves. And I think, I mean, one of the ways in which we sort of thought about this, and again, this is post facto, is that what does it mean to be queer? We think of queerness often in terms of simply sexual orientation, but I think for me it's much more than that. I think and for a lot of people it's much more than that. And I think a lot of who we call quote unquote straight people, I think they live much queerer lives than we think, or at least a lot of them would like to lead much queerer lives in terms of sexual freedom, in terms of flexibility. And there are, I mean, there are in real life, I think there are pockets in, at least like I know of a few cities like, Berlin and Madrid as well, where I think straight people lead lives that are much queerer than, one would acknowledge.
yeah.
So yeah, so I think it's all about permission and giving permission to Sam, but also to the others to really go and play.
How long did this take you to film?
The filming itself was 5 days. It was 5 very intense days. We didn't know we were making a 37-minute film, and it was, I mean, that was in hindsight, of course, a very risky thing to do, and it's a risky thing for you to accept a 37-minute film as well. When we made it and it was 37 minutes, I was thinking, wow, like who will program this? Because 37 minutes is like neither here nor there. So yeah, it was 5 days in total.
I mean, it's such a great slow burn. Our audience, once they got into it, I mean, there was so much laughter and oohs and ahs, and again, our audience really liked it. How did you put your cast together? Had you worked with most of these actors before?
No, so we went through a casting agency in Lisbon. We were really lucky to get, Ines and Nuno and Ben from London and Thomas from Lisbon as well. Ines is a very well-known former TV actor in Lisbon. So is Nuno. They're very prolific, and Thomas as well, and Ben in London. Yeah, it was through a casting agency. I think Ines was the first one to come on board, and then kind of, everything fell into place from there. Yeah.
That's great. Can you talk a little bit about some of your previous work? Um, some of your other previous films before this?
Sure, yeah. I started, my first film was Scar Tissue, which I made in
Yeah.
2016, 2017 is when it started its run. And I was really lucky as a first-time filmmaker. I don't have any formal training in film, so kind of taught myself. And I got really lucky with the first film. It went to a lot of festivals, including, Iris Prize and so on. I think I would say what was different about my work up until, with the exception of one film, Motta, which I made with this Sao Paulo-based artist, Fabio de Motta. He does shibari work, really prolific, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful work. But I think before Arriba Beach, most of my work before this has somehow involved, a disaster narrative or a trauma narrative, I would say.
Yeah.
And this I was very, I think it was a very deliberate decision. I was very interested not to center a disaster as or not to center the trauma narrative. I mean, it's necessary to talk about. There's so much, of that in our community. But I think personally, I was a little bit done with centering that, and I wanted to center play and make a film that, yeah, is really centered around the politics of play. I mean, one reading of Arriba Beach probably is that it's maybe an apolitical film, but for me, I think it's about the politics of pleasure. And I think
Mhm.
before this, my films were a little bit different. And I think yeah, this is the first time I've tried something like this.
Yeah. Um, can you talk about the importance of having, you know, queer themes in your work, particularly this, and having characters who are very, three-dimensional and are, kind of show the gamut of, you know, of human sexuality. But can you sort of talk about the importance of having queer themes in your work?
Yeah, I mean, I think queerness, queer pleasure, sexual politics. I think these are sort of really central to my work. I don't know if I've thought about or if I would really have a reason to make anything that doesn't
Yeah,
doesn't have queerness as kind of
exactly.
as the thread and the bones in the story. Um, what was the other part of your question? So
We're just talking
queer.
about the importance of queer themes in your work. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think it's. I mean, I all the stories, even the ones that I have not made that are kind of flying in the drawer, and a lot of them will probably not get made. They have queerness and queer pleasure as kind of the centerpiece. So yeah, it is really important. I mean, I grew up. I was born in India. I come from a country where um, even though like I was very lucky to have grown up in an environment where I did not have to go through any kind of huge sort of um, traumatic experiences while growing up as gay, but um, I moved to New York when I was 21 and lived there for a while. And then since then, I think, yeah, my life has been my my people, my social community, everything has been, has revolved around queerness. So yeah, it comes super naturally to my work and to the
Great.
stories. Yeah.
I think I read in on Film Free that you're working on a feature next.
Yeah, so I have a feature in development. It's
Okay.
uh, it's called the Taj Motel. I co-wrote the script with a friend from London, Sophie, and yeah, we're in development right now. We did some work with Torino Film Labs, and they helped us with some development, but that's kind of one of my next projects. Yeah.
Oh, great. Well, congratulations. It's been a pleasure talking to you. Again, Arriba Beach is part of Out on Film's festival this year, as well as our virtual lineup. It's still playing through tomorrow. It's an audience favorite. Nish, thank you so much for sharing the film with us. And thanks for taking the time to talk to us today.
Thank you. Really
We look
appreciate it.
forward, we look forward to working with you again in the future.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thanks so much.